Hello there. How are you today? Today is Monday, June 1st, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Hamilton Reads. Today, you find me in my classroom at North Hills Elementary School, where I spent the majority of the school year enjoying my time with my students. And sadly, it was a school year cut short that was really difficult for not only myself, but all of the students and all of the staff, not just at this school, but across York County, Pennsylvania, the United States, really everywhere. So anyway, I'd like to welcome you back. I know that it's been quite a long time since our last reading together, but I wanted to finish what we started because I felt like I couldn't just end without having finished the book, and I felt really bad for not having read the last few days. So we are back to conclude reading Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I thought what better place to conclude reading Fantastic Mr. Fox than right here in my classroom at North Hills Elementary. So I will pick up my book, I'll set my basketball down, and I'll take down my mask since I'm alone in the classroom and nobody else is here, so I'll have no issues with having my mask off for a little bit. Chapter 17. Back in the tunnel, they paused so that Mr. Fox could brick up the hole in the wall. He was humming to himself as he put the bricks back in place. "I can still taste that glorious cider," he said. "What an impudent fellow Rat is." "He has bad manners," Badger said. "All rats have bad manners. I've never met a polite rat in my life." "Well, and he drinks too much," said Mr. Fox, putting the last brick in place. "Well, there we are now. Now, home to the feast." They grabbed their jars of cider and off they went. Mr. Fox was in front. The smallest fox came next and Badger last. Along the tunnel they flew past the turning that led to Bunce's mighty storehouse, past Boggis's chicken house number 1, and then up the long home stretch towards the place where they knew Mrs. Fox should be waiting. "Oh, keep it up, my darling," shouted Mr. Fox. "We'll soon be there. Think what's waiting for us at the other end. And just think what we're bringing home with us in these jars. That ought to cheer up poor Mrs. Fox." Mr. Fox sang a little song as he ran. "Home again swiftly I glide, back to my beautiful bride. She'll not feel so rotten as soon as she's gotten some cider inside her." Then Badger joined in. "Oh, poor Mrs. Badger," he cried, "so hungry she very near died. But she'll not feel so hollow if only she'll swallow some cider inside her." They were still singing as they rounded the final corner and burst in upon the most wonderful and amazing sight any of them had ever seen. The feast was just beginning. A large dining room had been hollowed out of the earth, and in the middle of it, seated around a huge white table, were no less than 29 animals. They were Mrs. Fox and 3 small foxes, Mrs. Badger and 3 small badgers, Mole and Mrs. Mole and 4 small moles, Rabbit and Mrs. Rabbit and 5 small rabbits, Weasel and Mrs. Weasel and 6 small weasels. The table was covered with chickens and ducks and geese and hams and bacon, and everyone was tucking into the lovely food. Here's a nice picture of the entire feast that they just walked in on. I'm sure you guys can see all those people feasting. What a feast that is. "Oh, my darling," cried Mrs. Fox, jumping up and hugging Mr. Fox. "We couldn't wait. Please forgive us." Then she hugged the smallest fox of all, and Mrs. Badger hugged Badger, and everyone hugged everyone else. Amid shouts of joy and great jars of cider were placed upon the table, and Mr. Fox and Badger and the smallest fox sat down with the others. You must remember, no one had eaten a thing for several days. They were ravenous, so for a while there was no conversation at all. There was only the sound of crunching and chewing as the animals attacked the succulent food. At last, Badger stood up. He raised his glass of cider and called out, "A toast! I want you all to stand and drink a toast to our dear friend who has saved our lives this day, Mr. Fox. To Mr. Fox, they all shouted, standing up and raising their glasses. To Mr. Fox, long may he live. Then Mrs. Fox got shyly to her feet and said, I don't want to make a speech. I just want to say one thing, and it is this. My husband is a fantastic fox. Everyone clapped and cheered. Then Mr. Fox himself stood up. Oh, this delicious meal, he began. Then he stopped. In the silence that followed, he let fly a tremendous belch. There was laughter and more clapping. This delicious meal, my friends, he went on, is by courtesy of Messer Bogus, Bunce, and Bean. More cheering and laughter. And I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. He let fly another colossal belch. Better out than in, said Badger. Oh, thank you, said Mr. Fox, grinning hugely. But now, my friends, let us be serious. Let us think of tomorrow and the next day and the days after that. If we go out, we will be killed, right? Right, they shouted. We'll be shot before we've gone a yard, said Badger. Exactly, said Mr. Fox. But who wants to go out anyway? Let me ask you that. We're all diggers, every one of us. We hate the outside. The outside's full of enemies. We only go out because we have to get food for our families. But now, my friends, we have an entirely new setup. We have a safe tunnel leading to 3 of the finest stores in the world. Oh, we do indeed, said Badger. I've seen them. And you know what this means, said Mr. Fox? It means that none of us need ever go out into the open again. There was a buzz of excitement around the table. I therefore invite you all, Mr. Fox went on, to stay here with me forever. Oh, forever, they cried. My goodness, how marvelous. And Rabbit said to Mrs. Rabbit, my dear, just think. We're never going to be shot at again in our lives. We will make, said Mr. Fox, a little underground village with streets and houses on each side, separate houses for badgers and moles and rabbits and weasels and foxes, and every day I'll go shopping for you all, and every day we will eat like kings. The cheering that followed this speech went on for many, many minutes. The next chapter and the final chapter of Fantastic Mr. Fox is chapter 18, and that is called Still Waiting. Outside the fox's hole, Bogus and Bunce and Bean sat beside their tents with their guns on their laps. It was beginning to rain now. Water was trickling down the necks of 3 men and into their shoes. Well, he won't stay down there much longer now, Bogus said. The brute must be famished, Bunce said. That's right, Bean said. He'll be making a dash for it any moment. Keep your guns handy. They sat there by the hole, waiting for the fox to come out. And so far as I know, they're still waiting. That's the end of the chapter. That's the end of the book. And that's where we're going to stop today, Monday, June 1st. And as far as I know, that's where we're going to take a break for the summer at least. I would like to thank all of you for joining me for our series of Hamilton Reads. Well, I was able to read a couple chapter books to you guys. I read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as well as Fantastic Mr. Fox, both by one of my favorite children's authors, Roald Dahl. So for my last sock and shirt segment today, I only realize now that I have pretty basic Nike socks on, but I do have kind of a silly pink shirt that matches some pink shoes. I have a funny story about my pink shoes, so I'll show them here for you. First, these are my pink shoes. They actually have like cheetah print on them or something, but I ordered a pair of blue Vans around, I think like maybe Black Friday? No, Cyber Monday they call it. Cyber Monday. I ordered a pair of blue Vans and they came and this was what I got. And I tried to call customer service and I couldn't get through and I was put on hold and I didn't feel like waiting very long. So inevitably, I kept the shoes and decided I would wear them anytime I wear something pink because it would match. So my pink shoes, my pink cheetah Vans are my special
shoes today in lieu of not having any special socks on. And then for some shout outs today, I would like to shout out number one, North Hills Elementary, our principals, Mr. Uchef and Mr. Livingston. I would like to shout out the teacher that was in my classroom this school year. Her name is Mrs. Days. She was an amazing teacher, and I really loved working with her. I'd like to shout out to the rest of the Laurel Life staff at North Hills, Mr. Long, Mrs. Burnt, Mr. Ramey, Mrs. Scott. We appreciate you guys very much, so thank you for all that you did for this school year. I truly hope that everybody enjoys your summer. I got to see most of my students last week. We dropped off some gift bags to all of my students, and we got to say goodbye and to wish them a happy summer. So that was really a great experience for me. I loved doing that. I enjoyed seeing my students. That went really, really well. And anyway, with that being said, I hope that you guys find ways to entertain yourselves this summer. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay active, and don't forget to read throughout the summer, okay? So take care, and thanks for stopping by.